Have you heard of Naval Ravikant? Do you know how incredible his wealth and success story is, starting from zero and creating millions of dollars? Today, I'm going to share with you about 35 lessons on how to build wealth and money for yourself. I hope it helps. I'm going to be writing it all out. Let's dive in. And if you want more videos on mastering your money, your mindset, your habits, and your emotions along the way to create a life you love and to reach your potential, feel free to click subscribe. All right, so Naval talks about making money is a skill you learn. Okay? So it's not what you do, it is what you learn with your brain. We talk about that on my channel. It's a skill. So it doesn't matter who you are. Okay? Do you have a little bit of money? Do you have no money? Do you have a lot of money? Are you a happy person? Are you a sad person, a mad person? Like, what are you? You have awesome parents? You don't have great parents? Okay, it doesn't matter which person you are. It doesn't matter where you start, the starting line. We all start at a different place. If you want money, you just have to learn the skill. And so we're going to learn how to gain that skill, what is required. Because if you want anything, if you want wealth, there's a formula or actions you can follow to get that. So we can find the people who are wealthy and who have what we want. We learn what they did, and then we can reverse engineer and start to do those habits so that we get the result. Same thing with happiness. Naval talks about that too in this book. So we can figure out what did they do to be happy, and then we can copy those things. Same thing with health. Anything. What did the healthy person do to get strong and healthy? Then we can copy those things. So that's what we're going to do. It's a skill you can learn. Okay, getting rich. We want to get rich, right? We want to have money because it's a tool, okay? But getting rich, you cannot get there through hard work alone. Hard work does not make you rich. You can work at a restaurant for 80 hours a week. That's hard, right? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of time. But that's not going to produce the riches that you want. Okay, yeah, you're going to make some money, but do you want to really spend 80 hours to get a certain amount of money? Probably not. And so Naval argues that you need to know the right things to do. So what do we do? And what skills do we need to learn? It's not hard work, hard work, hard work. We need to do some hard work to learn the skills and learn what to do. So then we know what to do with it. Okay? What do we do with our skills? And then what do we do also with the money that we make and that we get? And then when and where? Okay, so we need to learn these things. So if you want to work hard, if you have a great work ethic, that's amazing. I work hard, right? But I know that when I am doing the right skills, the right habits at the right time, for the right people, with the right people, my results are way better instead of just average. Learn what we need to do. Naval wants you to figure out what work should I do? Okay, I talk about the millionaire fast lane a lot. If you want to get wealthier faster, that is not everyone's path, but this is an amazing book if you want to check it out. And we have the sidewalk, we have the slow lane, and then we also have the fast lane. And there's typically you start a business or you provide products or services or you start an app or different things of that nature. And that's going to get you wealthier in 10 years or less. Okay, slow lane is usually like 30, 40, 50 years. And then this, you're probably never going to get wealthy. And so we can learn about that. But what work should you do? I also talk about ikigai. Okay, what do you love? What are you good at? What can you get paid for? And what does the world need? Okay, this is Ikigai. It's reason to live. Okay, so if we can find the intersection where something, like if I love creating my YouTube channel and I get to do things I love to teach, I love to encourage, I love to motivate, I love to learn, I love to help people, I love to guide. Okay, I love to support. I also love to write. I love to think and feel and create and connect and be creative and like all these things I love to do. I'm slowly getting good at it. Some of the things I'm more naturally good at, like motivating or cheering people up and things. But I'm getting better at making the actual videos. I can get paid for it one day, or even just teaching. I am a regular teacher, and so I get paid for that. And the world needs that. The world needs to learn how to make money. The world needs to learn how to heal and how to manage the emotions, right? The world needs more people who are good and successful and happy and peaceful. And so because I'm doing something here, I'm a lot happier person, and it's worthwhile to invest the time into it. And so Naval says you really should figure out what work you should do, what lane you want to get in before you start. Okay, when I was younger and I was 18, I was trying to figure out what the heck to do. I was so confused, and I took so much time trying to find it. And I spent a lot of time and hard work figuring that out. But once I figured it out, it makes it so much easier, and now I can just go on a streamlined path. Doesn't mean my journey is step to step to step, but I am at least on the path of where I want to get to instead of all over the place. So figure out what work you want to do, what you should do, and how is it going to feel, right? Because I was going to be a roofer, do like roofing sales, and was going to make like $250,000, but I would have hated the day to day. So I want to figure out, what do I actually do and what feels good to you, right? And maybe you are just all about the money, and that's the choice you make, but you got to think about it first. All right, Naval had this like tweet storm go viral, so I'm going to share some pieces from it. But he says to seek wealth, not money or status. Okay? And so we want to seek the wealth. Okay, if we're just looking for money, like, hey, this job makes me $90,000 a year. This job makes me $150,000. Or like when I was looking for that roofing job, what? I get $250,000 a year. That's amazing. But that's going to leave you feeling potentially not fulfilled. Okay, and not good, and maybe sad. And I don't like the day to day, right? And so it's not just about the money. Or maybe I trade my time, right? I trade my time to get money, but there's only 24 hours in a day. And so really you want to seek the wealth. And why do we want to seek wealth instead of just like trading our time all the time or just going straight for a salary? Because obviously like 90K is better than when I was making 40K. Like that made a huge difference for me. But the wealth, true wealth, is when you have assets. Have you heard of assets? I talk about this a lot on my channel, but assets, things that make you money. And typically the best assets make you money while you sleep. Okay, so you could be sleeping, you're happy, having nice dreams, woo, love, happiness. And then guess what? Your money is multiplying. Boom, 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 boom. You want to be an investor. You want to be an owner. You want to have assets making you money, and then you want your money to go work for you. And so that is a key concept that wealthy people follow, and you want to figure out, how do I set that up? Remember, you are the ultimate asset. You are the number one asset. So learning those skills, having the knowledge, having those things are going to help you to produce more money. And then you can send your money off in different directions and in different assets to go grow and make more money for you. And that is how rich people get rich, because we only have 24 hours in a day, but they figure out the strategy and they figure out the skills required to implement the strategy, and then they implement them, And then that's where they get the results. And then people are stuck feeling poor and sad and miserable, and they're getting $2,000 a paycheck or $4,000 a paycheck if they're lucky, or things like that. And you're like, why? And all these people seem happy and healthy and whatever. It's because of learning these strategies and skills. And status, you want to be careful of, going in that direction, because that's going to be like an ego game too, or even like keeping up with other people, right? You're trying to keep up with the Joneses and things. Don't do it for that. Do it for the wealth, so that you can create the freedom, the peace, the opportunity, etc. And remember, with the money game, you might only need an extra $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, maybe even less. I don't know. Sometimes we're like, oh, we need $100K a month, $50K a month. Find the range that works for you. Find the range that works for you. And don't just seek this status and ego game. Seek true wealth, which is also not just about money. It's about the peace. It's about good relationships. It's about health and so much more than just the money. Talked about this in Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, but if you despise money or wealth, it will elude you. It's not going to come to you. If you think it's bad, if you're like, grr, money, why would money want to come to you? It's like if there's someone at school and this person, these guys are this clique, and they are jealous of this person, Jessica. Okay, they're jealous of Jessica. And they are saying mean things. They're being rude. They're staring. They're like just causing all these problems, okay? Why would Jessica want to go be friends with these people? They're jealous. They think she's awesome. They would love to be friends, but they're saying mean things. They're being rude. They're staring at her, and they're gossiping and whatever, okay? Jessica isn't going to come towards her if she's smart, okay? And so if this is how you are treating money, and you're despising it and treating it poorly and thinking that people who get money are snobs, etc., why would money come to you? It's not. And so you have to change how you think about money in order to get more money. If you want real wealth, okay, which is what I want for all of you, I want it with you having money, but also having time, with having freedom, with having health, happiness. Okay, we have a good relationship with ourselves, but also with others and the people that matter to us. Okay, so this is our true wealth. We cannot rent our time. Okay? We are renting out our time. If we're working 8 hours a day, we're renting it out to someone else for a certain price. Maybe we make $200 that day for that amount of time. Maybe if we're even luckier, we learn more skills, we get $400. Okay, but we're renting out our time. We're never going to truly build this wealth. And if we do, it's going to take that 30, 40, 50 years, which works for some people. Maybe they love what they do, renting out their time. But we need to have the assets. We need to own equity. Equity is essential. We have a piece of it. That's why, like with stocks, bonds, businesses, okay, thinking of the business, having a piece of a business, that can really help you too. And that's going to gain you freedom. Okay, so we have to think about it. Wealth creation and life creation and happiness creation, like all this stuff is created. Notice that it's created, and it's a game. So we have to master and know the rules of the game and know how we can increase our odds of winning the game. You will get rich if you give society what it wants. Okay? So when you provide value, when you solve a problem, when you create solutions, When you make life better, when you serve, when you help, and you do it at scale, you're going to make a lot of money, okay? And so, right, like if I am teaching or helping one person, that is so valuable. That is so important. I'm never going to neglect that. But when I realized, wait, I could use the internet and maybe teach millions of people and then find the people who actually want to learn from me or that we can be friends with or we can help. Wait, what? Because it's so hard finding like the one. But if we use leverage and find scale, we're going to be a lot better. And honestly, it's about the wealth, but it's also about the happiness, right? Like I'm so much happier when we can connect with more people. But you always want to think about value and giving society and people what they want. What are the wants? I have a video on that Noah Kagan did on his book, How to Start a Business in 48 Hours, $1 Million Weekend. And I talk about like identifying the wants. So I'll link it here if you're interested. But what do people want? What do people desire? And if you don't know what other people want, start with what you want. There's probably other people like you out there. So if you could solve a problem for you, or like some of my videos, a lot of them is the old version of me or the current version of me. And I share that and some people resonate. Pick an industry where you can play long-term games with long-term people, okay? So don't try to play the short game. You're actually not going to get a lot when you just try to play short and small. You want to play a longer game. Remember the long time horizon. Maybe instead of just 1 year, which you can accomplish a lot in 1 year. I know Nisha, an amazing YouTuber, she gained a ton of subscribers in just the 0 to 1 year and built it and changed her life and other people's lives in 2 years. But if you give yourself more time, you're probably going to achieve even more. And Nisha's going to achieve even more over those 10 years. So you really want to think about the long-term game instead of like when roofing, I was like, oh, I'm going to make 250,000. Like, this is amazing. But what is my long-term results of doing that? And would I actually enjoy that for 30 to 40, 40 to 50, like a lot of the rest of my time. And so like with YouTube and things of that nature, I'm actually happy and enjoying it. And I'm happy to play the long-term game. If you're trying to build wealth, you're probably going to have to interact with people, okay? But Naval warns that you want to find, if you're going to partner with people, you want people who have high intelligence, okay? Maybe in a special area, but just they're smart, okay? They have good energy. This is so underrated. I'm a huge energy person. I feel the energies of other people, and it just makes such a big difference. I have a hard time being around certain energies. And then the last one he says is most important, integrity. Okay? Do we have integrity? So these 3 things: intelligence, energy, and integrity. And then he says, be careful. So these are the people we want to partner with. The people we probably don't are simply cynics and pessimists. Okay? Because their beliefs that you're delusional, that this is stupid, that this is hard, that like poor me, whatever they feel and all the doubts, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, rather, right? So like if you think you can, Think and Grow Rich talks about this, you probably can. Doesn't mean you'll get it right away, right? But if you think you can't, you're right. You're not going to get it. If you think you can't, why would you get it? Okay. So we really want to find people here and we want to be a person here. If we want something, we have to be it first. And I did have someone comment when I did a reel on that. They were like, all right, men, time to become a lady, because they want ladies or whatever. But so I don't fully mean exactly like that. But if we want to be around good people, good energy people, we got to be a good energy. If we want to be in front of high integrity people, we have to be high integrity. If we want people who are smarter, we have to have high intelligence or be willing to pay them to get there. Okay, so we talked about skills, right? Hooray, skills. You want to learn as many skills as possible. I talk to my students about this, gain skills and gain expertise. But he wants you to build the skill of selling and building. Okay? And if you can do both, angel, angelic, yay from the heavens, you will be unstoppable. Okay? So, because if you have a product or a service, a way to serve, a way to help, and provide the value, you need to know how to sell it. Okay? And marketing, I would say, goes in that, like, making it known. Making known. Okay, Alex Hormozy has a great book on that if you are interested. But selling, you got to know how to sell it. If I have the most amazing product, or Sarah Blakely with Spanx, she had this amazing product that turned into $1 billion company. Okay? It did. But if she wouldn't have known how to sell, which she had sold fax machines for 7 years prior, and that was her strength. She had written down, what is my strength? And she said sales. It would never have been the $1 billion company that it was. So you have to know how to sell, how to get people to want to buy what you have. You also are selling kind of who you are. Jesse Itzler, her husband, Sarah Blakely's, talks about you are the business plan. Okay, that's why you are the number one asset. Like, people are buying into you on Shark Tank. If you've ever seen that, a lot of the sharks will invest in the entrepreneur, okay? Because of the person, because of who they are. So focus on who you are and making yourself better and better and better and better and better and better and more valuable. Just like if you're dating, like, you're gonna attract better partners the better you are. Okay, when you are better, you're going to get better. So you have to work on that. Who you are. You're always selling. You're selling every day, every time you interact with people. And you want to be able to build, because you have to have, like we talked about with the fast lane, some type of business, providing products, services, or if you want to skip that route and just go into ownership, but you're trying to build your asset empire, it's critical. Okay, you also want to arm yourself with tools. Okay, we need tools. So we need specific knowledge. I've heard of specialized knowledge a lot, but Naval is the first one I heard of specific, which I'll talk a little bit more about it, which let's go into it right now. So specific is all the unique things about you. Okay, so like if you think Joe Rogan and his podcast, one of the things that makes it so successful is his specific knowledge in different areas. I'm not super familiar with him, but I've heard this example before and Naval talks about it, but it's who he is. So he has these different things about him and he's willing to be himself. He's willing to share his opinions. He has a bunch of different topics, whether it's aliens, whether it's politics, whether it's health, all these different things. And then he has his unique background as a person, or the interests that he had when he was a kid, and then what he's interested in now, the struggles he went through, the different passions. Okay, there's different things that is specific to us. Even I talk about when I was little, half of the basement, we had a basement growing up, and half of it I had a brother. I still have a brother, but we would each get one side, and it was a school. So half of it was for teaching, and my mom set it up with all of this like teaching stuff, and I would teach. I also love business. I always would play business. And my first purchase was like a real cash register, and I would make businesses. I loved helping people. I ended up doing cheerleading eventually. I did travel soccer, and that was where like my competitive attitude and fierce nature, I think, really was able to be brought out. But then the cheerleading and being able to perform, I would also record videos. I loved my dad's video camera, and we would make dances and routines, and I was always leading things. I was like captain of a lot of teams and MVP and whatever, and then I would help the less fortunate, and I created like a food bank kids program for kids who had to go get donated food, and we'd have a program for the kids that was fun. They could get snacks, they could play games and do fun things. And so just like there's so many things, and creativity and scrapbooking and like making crafts and making board games and writing books. Okay, all these things make me who I am, and it's specific knowledge plus the specific experiences and getting to travel a bunch of different places, and who my parents were and learning from them, and what my unique DNA is and how I was. My mom said I would wake up and I'm like, what are we going to do today? Let's go. And I'd have all this energy and passion. Okay, so these are the things that make us us. Okay, rich people have specialized knowledge, because you can get paid more. Like my grandfather was an anesthesiologist, so he, like in today's days, you can make over $400,000+ for something like that, right? My dad's dad. And so that's specialized knowledge. It's a specialty, but specific is deeper than that. Okay. And so that's where, how can I bring more of this knowledge, this interactions, or working with kids for the last 18+ years and understanding people? How can I bring that into what I'm trying to do on YouTube? It really helps. Okay. Hopefully you understand more about specific knowledge. But if you are still a little stuck and you're like, how do I get there? Like, that sounds awesome. Naval recommends to explore your curiosity. Okay. And then also your passion. Okay. If you have a child, you know this. I have a 3-year-old. Okay. There's certain things that he's curious about. A lot of things, right? He asks so many questions. So ask the questions. Ask why. Okay, explore it, allow it. A lot of people are scared to ask, or people are like, stop asking me, leave me alone. Like parents, try to encourage this in people and be willing to actually answer. Okay, but follow your curiosity. Okay, even when with the food industry or energy, and I would feel sluggish and stuff, I started learning about processed foods. And I started also learning about like, why do we eat meat, and like just all sorts of stuff, which maybe there's people that are like, I don't care about that. But for some reason I cared about that, and longevity. Okay. And energy and feeling good. And so I went down and I found certain knowledge that then I implemented into my life. Okay. But it started with a curiosity. Okay. So follow those curiosities, and then a passion. Again, with your kids, there's interests that you have. We all have different stages of interest. Like, who knows? I was into Polly Pockets at one point. I'm sure I was into Barbies, and I was interested in making different games. Okay. And then I was interested in soccer for a long time. But then one day I wanted to do competitive cheerleading. And we just follow these different interests. So find your passions and be willing to explore, be willing to try, and be willing to see where it leads. Okay. And then all these different experiences that you're going to end up accumulating from exploring your curiosity, from having your passions, it will create the one thing that is the specific knowledge based on all these little things that you've built up. And a key thing to focus on is what feels like play to you, but maybe looks like work to others. Okay, so even with YouTube and all of this stuff and writing and coming up with ideas, like that's play. That's fun. Yes, I've had some microphone issues and stuff. Some of that is not as fun. But most of the time, I'm here. I'm loving it. It's easy. And people say, have some fun, like enjoy your summer. I'm a teacher. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to spend time with my family. Okay, going to spend time with my family. We're going to have a great time together. I'm going to go work out because that is super fun for me too. That makes me happy. I'm going to read. I'm going to write. I'm going to learn. And I'm going to do all my YouTube and books and projects and things. That is what makes me happy. That is play for me. That is fun. If I were just to go to a beach right now, like a 2-week beach vacation, I would be crying. I would be so sad, and people might think I'm crazy, and that's fine, but that sounds horrible. I can maybe go for a day because my son loves like digging and construction, and so he'd probably have a lot of fun like with the sand, even though we go to sandboxes and playgrounds locally. But find what's fun for you. What is play? But the key thing about this is that looks like work to others. So even like with writing certain things, there's certain things I could write really easily and come up with systems or things for. And people have told me before, oh my gosh, that would have taken me like X amount of time or 20 times longer than it took you. And so find those things and you're going to find the genius and then what other people need you for. And usually it's highly technical and or creative. And so it can't be outsourced. It has to be lived. It has to be experienced. And you have to actually go create it. Okay? And live it in order to get it. And so he really talks about this specific knowledge so much. But I hope that makes some sense on what it is. But you gotta go live. You gotta go experience. You gotta ask the questions so that you can create solutions and you can be a human that can help and therefore make money and be happy and be free and all of that stuff. Like, I'm obsessed with people. I think people are so fascinating. And I think a lot of it is because of this specific knowledge and their own experience. Like, that's why I still love teaching so much and connecting with kids. And it's like so fascinating learning about this person's story, learning about this person's interests, learning about this person's interests, learning about this person's struggle, learning about what they've overcome, learning about their goals, learning about their ideas, learning about what they've experienced. Like, that's one reason I love people and why I had to quit software engineering, is because I needed to be around the people, love the people. And so keep working on your specific knowledge. It will pay off in the future. Okay, if you want to be successful, you have to take risks. Okay, risk. You want to take calculated risks. Right? I'm not going to just see this big cliff and then go, ooh, a big cliff. Yay, let me just jump off. Oh no, bad choice. Right? So we're going to calculate. We're going to go, okay, so what are my goals for my life? So what are my goals? What are my desires? How do I want to feel? What do I want to do? What impact do I want to have? And then how can I get there? Oh, okay. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take some money. It's going to take time. I don't know if it will work, but I'm willing to take this calculated risk and invest, like in my YouTube channel, invest the money, invest the time, invest the energy, invest the resources, because it could have a good benefit where it does help people. I can reach a bigger audience than just in the regular school system. I can talk about what I want. I can specifically answer and help the questions that people have. Of course, eventually I might make some money from it, etc. So it's a win-win situation, okay? But it starts with a risk and a calculated risk that you choose. And Naval says if you take this risk under your own name, okay? My YouTube channel, Elizabeth Davenport. All my students, all these people the last few years have found, and they're like, oh my gosh, and is it uncomfortable? Sometimes, but I'm not going to get any benefit if I never take risks under my own name, okay? Like, if you're dating, you're young, you're trying to find your partner or your future spouse, and you never go You see these attractive people, great people, you never go take a risk and ask them under your own name, you're never going to be with them, right? So you have to take that risk. You have to put yourself out there, your name out there, right? And so if I am building my own business, because if you look at the cash flow quadrant, we want to be an owner and an investor, not just an employee or self-employed. But if we are on this ownership side and on the I side, the investor side, we're going to make more money. But what does it require? It requires more risk. If I'm just an employee, I would argue that that's a greater risk because you could lose your job depending on what job you have. Some jobs, you're pretty safe where you are, but it's a bigger risk to not take the risk on yourself. And Kobe Bryant and a lot of successful people live by bet on yourself, or why not you, okay? But take it under your own name. If you want to have a fortune or a lot of money, I just want to have money as a tool. Like right now, we pretty much have enough money for a lot of the things I want to do, at least for myself and my family, but it's just a tool. And to build this fortune, it requires leverage. So that is the need that you need to fulfill, is having leverage, okay? Give me a long enough lever and you can move the world, the earth. But what you need to get leverage is capital, aka money. It's also people. It's products. Okay, and then you could also have code. So if you have money, you're going to be able to make more money if you invest the money properly. If you have the right people who have the skills that we talked about that can build something, that's going to get you money. If you have the product to offer, you're going to make more money. If you have the code or media, that is a way and a path to money. So you need to figure out leverage. How can you leverage your skills? Like even I talked about teaching in a regular school. It's amazing. That's going to cap me. We currently make getting close to 90K a year. And so that's capped here. But like Ali Abdal, who decided to teach on YouTube and on the internet, it doesn't happen for everyone. Less than 1% of people make it. But if you can figure it out, he makes over 10 million a year. Okay, that's a lot different than here. Okay, capital means money. Okay, so if you've ever heard that, I'm not saying like what's the capital of Virginia, even though it's Richmond. I'm saying capital meaning money. Okay, and so if you want to raise money, you might not have to. Like Sarah Blakely only used $5,000 of her own money to build her billion-dollar empire. Okay, but if you want to, you can apply that specific knowledge that we talked about. Apply your specific knowledge with some accountability. Okay, you got to follow through, and you also have to show good judgment. Okay, like when we invest in Shark Tank, people don't want to invest in people who don't seem to have good judgment or who aren't good people. Okay, and you could be a good person but not have good judgment. So you really want to find that good judgment. Labor is one of the best ways to get more leverage. Okay, remember we only have 24 hours in a day. Okay, and so if we only have 24 hours, if we can outsource, like if I can outsource editing my YouTube videos, that could save me 10, 20, 30 plus hours, and I get that back. And then guess what else can I do? I can either make more content and create more things. I can have more time with my family, time for myself, etc. So you want to use labor and other people's skills, time, and expertise if you want to create more and make your life easier. Naval talks about using code and media. All right, we know that real estate has made a lot of millionaires, multimillionaires, etc. But now in this new technology age, it is a great way of permissionless opportunity and leverage. You don't need permission to post to YouTube, okay? I don't need permission. I need to learn the skills. I need to learn what I need to do. It's not necessarily easy and just going to magically happen, but the new rich can be found if you use code or if you use media. And if you don't know how to code, Naval says you can write books. You can offer blogs because this is leverage. He really wants you to use leverage. You can record the videos like I'm doing. You can do podcasts, things of that nature. You don't have to use code and media. You don't have to do this. You could also do this to advertise your products or your services that you have if you do have that business. But this is just one piece of the puzzle that you could use. Okay, I kind of love this one. There is no skill called business. Okay? And I understand a lot of people are so rude about the education system, and I really think people need to give educators more credit. So we don't need to just like bash the MBAs or learning about business, because I do think you can learn valuable skills. But Naval says you want to study microeconomics. Okay, I had to study that in school. I took some econ courses in college, psychology. Took so many courses in psychology, sociology, human development, persuasion. Even in our creative writing classes in middle school, the kids were learning persuasion, right? Or in your regular writing classes, learning persuasion. And they actually had to come up with a Shark Tank pitch. And they worked for a really long time, like a month or two on this. And they did so many components of the project, and it was super well done. But learning those skills of persuasion, or even when kids try to say, hey, can we do this? I'm like, and they don't give me a good reason. Give me a good reason. I'll be impressed, and maybe I will change my mind because I'm really proud of you for being really persuasive. Okay, math. Okay, you want to be good at mathematics, at least the foundation. My husband is amazing in math. And then computers, if you can understand technology too. So these are the skills that he says. I really think the more you can understand people, and then whatever product or offering you have, the better you can get at these things, the better, right? But everything comes back to people. And so the better you can be at some of the psychology, persuasion, also just being kind to people, like that is such an underrated thing. Like it's so simple. I wave and smile to people coming to my school in the morning. Like that's it. I wave and I smile, and I like genuinely, and I look at people and I try to generally just be like, hey, welcome. Like I'm happy you're here, because I am. And so many people like have commented how awesome that is. And look, simple, wave, smile, look at someone. And that makes a huge impact. So just never underestimate that either. Reading is faster than if you just listen. Okay, read for yourself. Honestly, please, like listening to this isn't amazing, but if you would just take out Naval's book and just start reading, you're going to learn so much. So my life changed significantly when I started reading books. So read, learn, get the knowledge, okay? And then doing is always going to be faster than watching. Okay, so listening can be helpful, watching can be helpful, but really the best way to learn is by reading and doing. Okay, and if you need to listen to find the information, great. Or if you need to watch, okay, go then do maybe your own reading and then go do. Okay, but we really need to learn, do. Learn, do. And that is how you build whatever you want. Naval says you should be too busy to do coffee. Okay? But still keep the clutter away from your calendar. Okay? This has really changed my life. Some people love the coffee, love the connections. love the people. And if you want to make time for that, and if that's helping you in your life or your business or your goals, I say do it. I'm not Naval, haven't achieved the success that he has, but I would say go for it. But clutter away from the calendar. You should be taking action on whatever things will get you the outcome you want. Take action on whatever things you want, whether that's with your health, with your business, with your relationships, okay? We always want to take the actions that lead us to our results, okay? But don't just say yes to everything. Dan Martell, a no is a yes is a no. So a no is a yes to what you actually want to and need to do. And a yes is a no. If you're saying yes to this, yes to this, yes to this, I even noticed this. I said yes to a few things and I lost a lot of time to the things that mattered most to me. So you just have to be really strategic with that and just be careful. All these little meetups and all these little things take energy, take time. And again, if that's what you love, do it. But for me, it took away from my main happiness and what I really wanted to do. An activity he says to do. All right, we talk about our hourly wages or our hourly rates. So if you get paid $45 an hour, $88 an hour. How much do you get paid? $15 an hour. Okay, whatever. If it would take someone else that amount of money or less, you should probably outsource this. Okay? Too many times, like we'll go drive an hour to save a few bucks. That is a waste of time. Okay? Or if you're driving 20, 25 hours to get somewhere, that is a waste of time. Even though plane tickets and things are expensive, your time is more valuable than that. And if you're not doing anything else with your time, that's fine. But for me, that would be such a waste of time on what I actually want to and need to do. Like I talk about here, this is what I need to focus on. If I'm spending time on all this other crap and stuff, it's taking away from the main thing. And so outsource this, get rid of it. It's really important. Even though Naval said, and many people say, hard work does not guarantee money and success, you still should work hard. Work as hard as you can. But still keep in mind that you should still try to find good people to work with, who to work with that are really good, like we talked about earlier, and then pick the right thing. Okay, so we want to apply the hard work to who we're working with and what we're working on. And that is going to give you magic. And a lot of people will say that you got to work smart, not hard, not hard, not hard. That is a mistake because all successful people are going to work hard, at least initially. So you have to work smart too. Remember how Naval says to pick the one thing. All right, don't just walk aimlessly around. Figure out the one thing you're going to invest in, at least for how to make money, okay? And then you want to be world class. Dan Martell talks about this as well. You want to be the best or strive to get there, okay? That is where a lot of opportunities are going to thrive. Even Travis Kelce, the #1 tight end, okay? Like one of the best tight ends of all time. Okay, he is obviously going to make more money. He has more opportunity. He also then eventually partnered up on a podcast with his brother, got a $100 million deal. He's making millions already as an athlete, but then he already has the skills, the value, etc., and is an amazing person, and then partnered and is dating Taylor Swift, so he attracted an even better partner, and she's a billionaire and kind and wonderful, and they seem to mesh and get along. And it's because of being the best. He was the best at football and it created the millions of dollars, but then it created more opportunities and it created more opportunities financially and then relationally, etc., because of the person he became. So work harder on yourself then you do your job. You want to work harder on you. The more you work on you, everything else is better. You're going to be happier. Relationships are going to be better. You're hopefully going to be healthier because you're working on that too. You're doing the healing work on yourself. You are able to be a person who creates value and wealth. So work harder on yourself. Pick the one thing, and you want to figure out how to be world class, the best of the best. So I'm still nowhere near that, but that's why I'm starting to improve on my YouTube journey, because I want to be the person or one of the best people that could teach you how to make more money, how to become a millionaire, how to transform your life, and how to be who you want to be. I want people to go, hey, like, I want to be successful. I want to have money. I want to feel happy. Elizabeth, she can help me out. Right? And so I'm going to keep working on this till we get to this. Dan Martell took him 10 years to get to world class in that area, but he got there. Please remember this. There are no get rich quick schemes. Okay? That doesn't mean you can't follow people who teach you about money. Okay? Because like, I'm teaching you that's going to take time, right? I'm not telling you, am I telling you it's going to happen tomorrow? No. And so some of you are still sad, and I was sad when I learned that, but I know that I have to follow this path to get to this. And if I keep trying to find these quick fixes, like a lot of people sold and do sell, then they're the ones who are getting rich, and you're the one who's still nowhere near where you need to be, and you're still going to have to take this path anyways. So be mindful of that and figure it out. Like I said, the millionaire fast lane, it's 10 years or less. So that stinks. You know, I would argue, try to get a good job in your regular time and then go work on this in the meantime, right? So that you can make your 90K or whatever, and then you have some time, you can work on this that will maybe eventually make you more. Okay? So there's options. Just be mindful and know that good things take time. If you have your 200 pounds and your ideal weight is like 150, that's a healthy weight, it's going to take time. You might lose 20 pounds or something faster, but to really get chiseled, to really, even when you're at a healthy weight and now you're just trying to build muscle, that muscle is going to take time to build, okay? It doesn't just happen in a week, unfortunately. All right, keep going. So this is the formula. So if you apply specific knowledge into that one thing, and you find the people, you use leverage, eventually you'll get what you deserve. It'll happen, but you have to take the time. You have to figure out what that specific knowledge is, what that one thing is. You have to figure out the leveraged way to use it, and then you keep doing the work until it processes out what you want. Okay? You will get what you deserve. If you figure out what vehicle to get in, I talk about that, get in the right vehicle, it will take you where you want. Okay? And so really focus on finding that vehicle so that you can get there, and you can figure out what actions to do, what people can help you. You can do the inner work along the way. You can get world class along the way. You'll get there. Dan Martell figured out the vehicle. He wanted to use media. He already built businesses in other ways, but I just like talking about this because that's something I'm interested in. And it took him 10 years, but he focused on the specific knowledge. He has a lot of specific knowledge. He focused on the one thing, and then he used leverage, and he became world class. He invested the capital, like it talks about. He invested the money, and he invested into the people as well. He had really smart people come help him, so he could become world class, etc. Naval also says when you do achieve the wealth status, you'll realize it's not everything you thought it would be, but that's a conversation for another day. And so remember that wealth and having money is not the only goal. Okay, even some people who say, no, this is my only goal, they eventually do kind of come to, hey, I do want to have some happiness. I want some peace. oh, I do want, maybe I don't have kids, but I do want some good relationships. Or, oh yeah, I do want kids and I want the fulfillment there. And oh my gosh, my health is awful. I need to work on that. And so there's multiple goals here, and it's the 8 dimensions of health, but that's what I'm a strong advocate for. I talk a lot about money, but I talk a lot about creating it in a way that's going to make you happy and feel good, because life is not all about the money. I see a lot of problems when you don't have money, but too many people are on the other spectrum where they only think about this and then they're left without this good stuff. Everything I talked about comes down to 2 words. Productize yourself. So who you are, like I talk about products and services, right? If you can figure out how to productize yourself, your interests, your talents, your skills, and turn that into a product, turn that into something to make money, you're going to make more money and you're going to be a lot happier doing that. So productize yourself. If you're interested in anyone, okay, if you're interested in a really healthy person, someone who's really happy, someone who's really peaceful, someone who's confident, someone who's wealthy, okay? Someone who's a great mom. What you want to do is become a student. You want to be a student of all of these people. And you want to learn what these people do and what they did to achieve X result, whatever result they got. Because it was what they did that got them there. It's all your choices and your habits that lead you to your outcomes. And so if you admire the result of someone, like instead of being jealous or envious of someone who has wealth or someone who has peace or freedom, figure out what they did. See if you can learn from them. What did they do to get the outcome? What choices did they put in here to get the outcome? And so always be a student. Those who keep learning, anyone know this? If you follow my channel, you will rise. No one can compete with you on being you. So that's why productizing yourself is so important, is no one can be you. Like they say, no one can out Joe Rogan, because he's him. And so the more, even on my YouTube, like I know they talk about niching down. And so I do talk a lot about the money. And if I only focus on the money, but I like adding the other parts. And the more maybe I can bring Elizabeth or myself and my unique genius, my unique interests, my unique experiences, that is going to produce better results, because no one can compete with me on being me. So if and when YouTube does much better and I do become world class and I can be more helpful, when I do get to that, it's going to be harder for someone to replicate this, right? It's hard for people to replicate Joe Rogan. You just want to be you. You want to be you. And then figure out who and what needs you. Okay, that's where I'm like, okay, a lot of people are resonating with this money. I know a lot about people. I know a lot about healing. I know a lot about emotional mastery, and that seems to do well too when I post shorts on emotions and dealing with them and your mindset. And then people seem to like the encouragement, right? So like, who needs me? That's why I wanted to come onto YouTube too, is because I found that people were resonating with me in real life, in the real world, just like in the physical world. And I'm like, whoa, I wonder if I could like share myself and my knowledge and my passion and my heart with more people. Okay? And I did, and I can. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty. On your journey, you have to do 2 things. You have to prioritize and focus. Okay? On the one thing. And what are the skills required? Where can you outsource? Are you using leverage? Where can you improve? How can you do more? How can you do better? You want to prioritize and focus on these things. And the more you do that, the better outcomes you will get. So the better you get here, the better your results will be. And when you prioritize and focus on these things, you're also creating your own luck. And luck is created. Naval talks about this. There's different types of luck. Okay? There's dumb luck and it just randomly happens, but there's luck from hard work. And Ollie talks about that with a YouTube video. The more videos you produce and the ones that are good, the more likely it's like a lottery ticket. Maybe one will eventually go viral. Maybe one will take off. Okay? Or Jesse Itzler talks about when he created the luck by putting himself in a situation where luck could happen, right? If you're going to go specifically to a place where there's 1,000 people your age, you're more likely to find someone who, you could marry and be with. If you're just randomly going around the world and there's not a lot of people your age, it's going to be harder, right? So luck is created, and we want to prioritize and focus our mind and our attention and our time on the one thing and on the things that are going to help us achieve the one thing. And lastly, go struggle. Do something hard. That is where the best outcomes come from. No risk, no reward. You get 0. So you have to do the hard things to get the result. If you want to build the muscle, you have to eat the right foods, which can be hard. Eat the right foods is hard. And you have to put in the time and persist and be disciplined and show up to get the fit outcome you want. Okay? So go struggle and go do the hard thing, because that's what's going to get outsized returns. That's what's going to get you more money, more happiness, freedom, etc. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it was helpful to you. If you would like another video like this, feel free to check out the Millionaire Fastlane, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, or 10 Habits Making Me a Young Millionaire. You got this.